Should we say pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let roll call show. All the council members, they're all present. And we do have a quorum. Before we approve the agenda, I'd like to add a proposal from CEPI. That's a survey company to plat for our 73 acres west of town. We have the 40-acre parcel platted, and give us the ability, because we're going to be having some of it opened up for sewer and water. We plat this to give us the ability to possibly start selling some of this land that we have out there. We get it platted. We need that information also to make sure we're tying in the right places for sewer expansion into there. On the funding that we have present and in our grant for our project out there. We're gonna have a motion to add them to the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda with the addition of, I guess that would be 14C CEPI.
Yeah, for CEPI on
I guess that would be
new business.
14C.
Yeah,
addition.
new business, right. Can I have a second? Been moved by Councilman Stettler, second by Councilman Hardkey. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of the CEPI proposal on new business. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed all in the affirmative. Any communication from citizens? Anything online? None being. Can I have approval of the consent agenda? That's approval of minutes, April 25th, 2023, payment application number 1 to Barnum Inc. for $196,988.43. Payment application number 1 to Casper's Inc. to $48,631. D, approval of bills April 26th through May 9th, 2023. And a motion to approve. And a motion to approve.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Then move to approve the consent agenda. Can I have a second? Been moved and seconded. Moved by Councilman Stettler, second by Councilman Hartke. Discussion.
Tell me about these change orders. Or is that what we're talking about? No, Casper system right here? Okay. This is just a finish. Okay.
Yes.
So that's, so I did not know where the change orders went to at home.
Okay.
Because I did not see them
They're not
on the agenda.
They're not on there yet. They're not. Haven't done them yet.
Okay. So I thought the change orders were here
No,
No, we're
Ninety-
not paying
96.
anything. They're not done.
Okay.
Right? So they're not part of that payment.
Okay,
any other discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye, pose the same. Motion passed all in the affirmative. Move on, right on down. The resolution 23-009, revenue and expenditures.
Resolution number 23-009. A resolution authorizing the increasing of fiscal year 2023 budget revenues and expense for the town of Shoshoni. Whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni passed a budget resolution for fiscal year 2023, including expected revenues. And whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni recognizes revenue estimates from unintended sources are not budgeted. And whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni recognizes revenues from both unexpected sources not budgeted and revenues in excess of budgeted revenues have been observed during the third quarter of the year. And whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni recognizes that increases in expenditures arise from time to time due to unplanned expenses. And whereas the town treasurer reported expected receipt of revenue in excess of budget for interest income is $14,735 and $7,000 from the proposed sale of the police vehicle. Whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshone recognizes that expenditure increase commensurate with unexpected revenue or revenue in excess of budget has a zero-sum outcome in the fiscal year budget. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the town of Shoshone authorizes the town treasurer to increase the budget revenue of the following line items and in the amount specified commensurate with revenues received in excess of budget. 1031-160 interest income, $14,735. An expenditure of the following line items in the amount specified. 1049-991 capital projects general fund, $14,735. 1054-741 capital outlay equipment, $7,000. If I could make a suggestion for a amendment to this to also include $7,000 in revenue under the line item of miscellaneous income.
so what is the line item 1049-9091? I mean, is that a specific item?
Yes,
Capital general fund.
yeah, and so I erred and I didn't put the $7,000 increasing of revenue for miscellaneous income. I put the expenditure line item, but not the revenue line item, which is supposed to be miscellaneous.
Yeah, I read it, missed it too, so don't feel bad. My mind said 7,000.
It did mine too. Usually pretty good at this, but I'll eat crow when I make a mistake. I made a mistake.
Move that we approve resolution 23-009 with the addition of adding the $7,000 into the
Revenue,
revenue.
miscellaneous.
Yeah, stating the revenue as previously stated.
Been moved by Councilman Stetler, second by Councilman Harkey, that we approve resolution number again,
23-009.
23-009 as amended. Further discussion. Further discussion.
I'll just mention the police vehicle. So as you know, we borrowed our spare vehicle to the town of DuBois for their police department. We've had two vehicles that have been in the shop waiting on warranty parts for months. So we were playing musical chairs. So the proposal that I brought to the mayor was to just go ahead and sell them our spare if I could find a suitable replacement spare on par with what we'd be selling them, which we did find from the Wyoming Highway Patrol in a Dodge Charger all-wheel drive with 68,000 miles on it, fully equipped for $6,000. So the proposal would be to sell that one for $7,000, buy that one for $6,000, and then have $1,000 for the wrap
And we're selling the DuBois, the vehicle
instead of borrowing.
fully equipped, and they've been borrowing it, and they've wrapped it and they're happy with it and they'd like to purchase. Is from us.
Yeah, it's the Explorer that we bought.
Right,
We paid 4,000 for it. Got about $1,200 in repairs on it that we put into it, so about 5,200 that we're into it for, so. But they like it, it suits them. And this is basically changing a spare for a spare, we're not expending anything, but, well. It's offset with 1%. Or what proposals are.
Well, I personally had 3 of the highway patrol Dodge Chargers, so
Oh, you're a fan?
as far as what you're getting, I would say I would tell you that the value that they're offering for is especially equipped. Typically, we couldn't buy them that cheap off the auction block
That's their starting bid price, but since we're an agency, they're gonna go ahead and do it for us.
without the bid.
Without,
yes,
they don't have to bid.
Yeah.
Since it's,
agency to agency.
Do that.
Same thing with us in Du Bois.
And it has all the equipment.
well, minus the radio, but we have the spare radio.
Yeah.
So it's an old radio, but it's gonna be a spare, meant to be a spare for one thing, so. But everything else, as far as lights and all that good stuff, radar, blah, blah, blah.
So the only thing you have to put on is the name.
And that's what that extra $1,000, we would use
Right.
that to put the decal and stuff on.
Yeah, we could have 7,000, we'll have 7,000 in it, so.
So we'll get
Or
7,000, we'll get 7,000 and we'll spend the 7,000.
So.
Yeah.
Mass Jeff Manning's gonna include the door latches for the back. Usually do that when they sell, we'll just give you a bag that has these accessories that they remove. And say, here you go, here's your.
Here's all your parts that we took off. And they're all-wheel drive, so it,
Right,
I mean, it's a spare, it's not gonna be our primary, but I think being all-wheel drive, we should be able to get around, generally speaking.
They get around all winter long, mostly.
Yeah, but they haven't hit the uphill slopes on some of our roads in the winter time when there's 10 inches of snow on them. Those are fun. Till they get plowed.
any further discussion?
I'll just bring up really briefly, we're gonna cover it under new business, but the 14,735, that's specifically referring to what's coming up in new business.
We approve it now, we don't have to talk about it in new business.
Well,
Well, I mean, at least,
still like to let you talk about it. But it's up to you, it could be brief. No further discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye, pulls the same. Motion carried, all in the affirmative. Sun Realty Economic Development Proposal.
Well, you guys have seen me before, but I'm Dave Parker with Sun Realty. Lynn and Tim Thompson had made a submission to the city at the last meeting about the shop property and the 6 lots that it sits on. They've modified the proposal to reflect some of the concerns that we got on feedback that the city would like to see. They're still gonna go with the 3 basic building units, starting with the shop and the lot adjacent to it once the shop's removed. And they're gonna take the next 2 lots and make that a building unit, and the next 2 lots will be a building unit. The plan is to build 3 attainable housing units minimum per 2 lots. And they're gonna do that in a 18-month period once the shop is removed. And then after that 18 months, they'll start on the next 2 lots and put in a minimum of 3 attainable housing units. And then when they're done with those 2, after the first 2 18-month windows, they'll reevaluate to see if a commercial offering might be better for that frontage property. If a commercial opportunity is not there, then they'll go ahead and build a minimum of 3 attainable housing units on that series of lots.
12 total.
So there's gonna be a minimum of 6,
Possibly 9
possibly 9,
or 6 with a commercial
right?
operation on the 2 lots closest to Idaho. And they're offering the same 30,000, and they're offering the same backing that if they don't succeed with their project, that they'll have to buy the property. And add another 30,000 to the city purchase price. Anybody have any questions?
So is this as you're breaking down numbers, so is it a duplex, a duplex, a duplex?
No,
Triplex.
Triplex.
So 3 triplex, single level?
They haven't determined that yet. They may build 4 units. I don't know, Mike. They have to look at parking. They gotta see what they gotta do, but they're minimum 3 they'll commit to. Which would help the housing situation, you know. And they shorten the window so that it's easier to monitor. Take 2 months. Between units.
And the cash offer price for the land is
30,000.
$30,000.
And if all goes well, there's no more additional expense, but if it doesn't go well, then they're well aware that they have to pay the 30,000 to the city. If they don't meet their expectations. And the city's requirements. Would be a total of 60,000 if that was the case.
That would be within 18 months from,
Whenever they
Build.
breach a contract, Marshall will probably wind up drafting a contract we'll get a look at. That was the plan. To protect the city.
Every 18 months, they are committed to have a triplex completed.
Yes, yeah, and
From the time we'll start is when
shops are
we move the shop.
correct. And then another 18 months, 6 units should be their minimum.
Anybody have any questions for Dave?
No, this 30,000 if they do not meet the requirement. What happens if they build the first unit in their 18 months, but not the second unit in 18 months?
Then there would be a breach of contract.
Yes,
So it's back to the 3,000 again.
They've been to come up with another 30,000.
yes.
And they're aware of that. They're prepared for that. They're, you know.
I didn't know if there was a cause, say, well, we had to first.
There will be a clause.
Okay.
Mhm.
Joel will work with Marshall on it.
Yep.
You know, draft something that the council's happy with. And after that, then we can start with the regular real estate contract. But until we get your blessings from it, we can't really proceed much farther than this.
Any other questions?
These are 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. You know,
Now, they'll probably try to have 2 baths in them. They're trying to, they haven't committed yet. They're looking at their combination of plumbing units. So they can maximize the plumbing functions. And I've discussed it with them and they're thinking that 4 units is pretty promising because of the shared equipment. And so they may very well go to 4 units, minimum 3. But probably 2 to whatever they feel is the most desirable size in the Shoshoni area based on the rent that they can obtain.
I believe the question was bedrooms, how many bedrooms?
Probably minimum 2, Joel, possibly 3.
Okay, yeah, that was my understanding.
Anybody, any other questions?
Yeah, none, you got a question?
Yeah. Legal concerns with that. No. It's pretty much everything that's hashed out there. It's not a single family house. There's no route for that. So. Counts pretty well. Covered and doesn't have inputs.
Any questions? Tammy, anything? Mike? If there's no further questions, I'd like to have a motion to approve this offer. Been moved by Councilman Harkey. Can I have a second?
Second that.
Second by Councilman Stetler. Any further discussion?
I think I should abstain from the vote. We have, our company has business dealings with the group, with Crossroads.
Okay, so noted.
Abstain also.
Note that Councilman Zent also abstained from the vote as Councilman Nemec. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed the same. Motion passed all in the affirmative. Thanks for the proposition.
Okay. You go. Guys have a nice evening.
You too. Liquor license fees.
So I believe this was brought up last meeting to inquire about our liquor license fees out of discussion. So what our ordinance currently states is that from time to time, council shall determine the fees for liquor licenses. So it's up to council to adjust or set the fees for the town, which are currently $750. And I believe we left off in a conversation that Riverton is $1,500. And it hasn't been raised since I've been here, and going back as far as I can look, which was 10 years, it still hasn't been raised then. So it's been at least 14 years since it's been raised. As far as any recommendations that I could think of, it's a one-time yearly fee. And now I know conversation is not to be detrimental to our existing businesses. But I don't feel $250 or $300 is going to put a business out of business. And then if that is a make or break point over the course of a year, that's not a good thing for any business. So I would recommend anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 would be a good range for where we should be at if we're going to look at raising. We only have 2 licenses, but this would affect all liquor licenses in the future. So if we get a bar and grill, they would also be paying whatever the rate would be set. So that would be my recommendation, is between 1,000 to 1,200 and going forward.
I would say 1,000. Just for it is a smaller community. There are 1,500 in Riverton, but there's 30 liquor licenses.
Maybe do $5,000. Lead the way.
Well, we get one to buy it.
Well, if there's 30 licenses for 11,000 people, so less than one for every 350 or something per capita. That's similar to us. Per capita. Bar license per person.
So on the county website, they charge $1,300 for a retail license, $650 for a restaurant license, $2,000 for a bar and grill
Right.
license, $6,500 for a malt beverage permit.
Yeah, we could do the same thing here, just currently, it's just a flat across the board, but yeah, we could break them out per type.
But we currently only have the 2
Full retail.
retail.
Unless they start selling food out of there, then they could be a bar and grill. 51% of sales. But council asked, and that's my response. So.
Any further debate?
It's only $1 a day if we raise it 360. Certainly Red Bull's gone up $1 a can, or Budweiser, they might-
That's going down.
They're gonna come down a little bit.
You're
Can't
doing
really
math
get
over
that.
there. I'll take the calculator off your tablet.
I'd go with 1,000.
Can I have a motion?
I move we set the new liquor license at $1,000 a piece.
Is that for all across the board? No.
At this time, yes, until we have people apply for others.
Been moved all liquor license prices set at $1,000. Can I have a second?
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Zent, second by Councilman Stetler, that liquor license would be the new fee starting next year will be $1,000. Any further discussion? I've got a question. Do we have any guidance? I mean. Doesn't the state have? Maybe that's just their fee, because I know there's a different fee. Bar and grill is more. Bar and grill will probably be maybe thing of the past in 10 years they're working, I think, phase it out. But the bar and grill is more than a regular liquor license.
It's left up to the councils to decide, the governing bodies decide what each one's gonna be. There's no set limit from the state of Wyoming on what shall be. That it shall be double or more. It doesn't say any of that. It's up to the governing body to set
Okay.
each license rate, which bar and grill, I guess, would make sense, would be more because you're doing.
I'm just. There's guidance or something that I know that's been our discussion and.
I'd have
Almost
to
fees.
look, but I don't remember anything as far as
Yeah, I don't.
requirement for price. I know there is for per capita, how many licenses.
Well, right, correct.
But not a price.
It seemed like there was. I got the state liquor license in my deal booklet and I'll have to check with this. Okay, just wanted to bring that up. But yeah, most places charge more and I didn't know. So no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to raise the alcohol related license to $1,000 for now. Say aye. Aye, pose the same, motion passed, all in the affirmative. Spring cleanup. What do we,
Mike bailed on me. Alrighty then. Well,
I haven't had a chance, I haven't talked to him about it, I've been
so when
neck deep in alligator.
do you think we should start with spring cleanup? I guess we'll start there. Here in the next end of May. And how long of a window are we gonna do it? Like we did last year at the city yard?
Also interested to know what the town of Mop is doing.
Sure.
So the town of Mop is, they have their cleanup starting on this coming Monday. What they've chosen to do is they're putting multiple roll-off containers throughout their town. And they're going to run it for 8 days. And they allow people to fill the boxes and that's their program. Granted, they have a landfill that part is a little bit different, but that's what they're not sending people out, as far as I know, to go pick whatever the general public brings in their waste. They're supposed to have it identified, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable, but
Do they own their own? Their bins?
so they have hired that service out to a carrier to provide the containers and provide the transport, but the town will cover their own fees. They charge by yardage anyway, not by weight. So when it came to their budget, they said, we'll anticipate this many containers empty this often. But it would be different for here versus on their end, because they're not truly paying the price. But they they literally have them set up throughout the town and kind of in some random places that's for the good and the bad, but. But I do that in Shoshone, I don't know if that necessarily be my approach to it, but that's what they're doing for for me.
I don't want to do what we did in the past. That was a disaster and that was a lot of money. We're still not. We spent several $1,000s and it's still a lot there.
I think last year we limited what we would take. And we monitored what came in at the town yard to ensure we didn't get those issues. That's how we did it last year, but that's why I wish Mike was here. I don't know if that's the way to go about it this year again. We allowed them to bring in their washers, dryers in the metal bin, their electronics separated out, and then we had a bin for the mattresses and whatnot. That's the way to go this year, or I don't know.
I think part of it comes down to how many either volunteers or town people you'll have. I think monitoring is extremely
Yes.
important. It helps on, there's a couple different things that it helps with by doing that, but. Just if it was contained in the town yard, it was gonna be more than one day, you have the ability to lock the gate and not deal with overnight.
Well, my concern is, people dumping illegally, it continues and it's getting very annoying. I'm not saying that it's the town's responsibility to pay to absolve someone from that, but at the same time, it becomes the town's problem. We have to go up there, our volunteers have to go clean up sites because people are so disrespectful, they'll just trash it anyway. So where's the balancing act here?
How much do we have in our budget for this? We're
Well,
still,
we have. That's why I wish Mike was here. We have $3,000 or so that we could throw at it for disposal of stuff. I mean, how much you'd know more than I, how much that would cover.
So I'll give you an estimate on that. You were looking at 3,000 and just disposal. If that was, so when you say disposal, you're talking landfill fees, not transport, or both
it'd have to be total.
Total, yeah.
total?
How much could we take in?
Not much.
Talking a mattress, 3?
I would put you in the, depending on how they were compacted, I would put your, my guess, probably 4 to 5 dumpsters.
Yep.
As long as they weren't loaded with a backhoe. That's what happened. The debt that was incurred last year or previous, that was a major issue as far as it was dumped on the ground and then it was. So as soon as so
So,
a bucket of dirt is $50 or better. That's what it costs on dirt.
so you're saying 5 full dumpsters would be about 3,000, including transport and disposal?
I think that would be a fair estimate if you were to contract a private hauler too. So those numbers are based on roughly 2 ton per container ish, which is, I would say, fairly common. Bunch of mattresses, no, it's gonna be much cheaper, but
I mean, my suggestion that I would put out there, what we can do is what we can do. We can't solve everyone's problems, but we have a spot where they can dispose of their tree limbs, tree cuttings, that's separate from this. Their washers, dryers, we have a spot they can dispose of those, separate from this. So anything else, up to $3,000 currently, and once we hit that cap, I guess we're done.
How many yards do we got that we need to clean up? From
in
past
the yard,
now, we really need to clean up what the heck we have there now
Or accruing more.
And that's.
Yes,
Yeah, we need to get, well, that was where the conversation I wanted to have is how much is it gonna cost to remove all that metal we have there? Is that something that, I guess individually piece doesn't have a value to it, but scrapped, I don't know, it would be something we'd have
Not
to,
very much.
yeah, under $500, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Um. A rough estimate of what would be over there right now, it's puts you between $1,000 and $2,000 to get rid of that pile.
okay,
Part of it's because of the dirt factor, so like dirty depends on how it's loaded, but there's a lot of dirt.
Right.
mingled in with it.
clean clothes.
You know, one suggestion would be if depending on what, if the town said we're gonna do this on an 8A, first come, first come. First come, first served basis, if you said
1 day,
one day and you started with. So you put 4 containers over there, and it's not about a mad dash, you don't, world doesn't have to know that, but you put 4 containers there. And when those containers are full, you lock the gates.
Turn 'em away.
Okay, That's all we've got, that's called.
I like that idea.
Um,
After,
We'd have to tie, we need to tie up,
probably after we finish.
we need a supervisor there and make sure.
if you had like I said, it come if the town is collecting, like they're not the town, whether it's volunteers or actual town employees, if they're collecting, that will help. If it's open to the general public to bring in, I mean, it's gonna be like a yard sale thing, you know, start at 8, people show up at 6. What are we gonna get here? But that would be probably the best way to control the expense. It would control the things like not getting oil in the dumpsters or TVs put in the dumpsters.
Right, yeah,
Things like
no, you're right, needs oversight.
The,
I think whatever maybe funds we can budget for, we should finish cleaning up from previous years before we ever do anything else. Take
Try it
that
out.
right out of the budget. That was for cleanup. Just
so the suggestion would be,
that's
I walk this fine line, we all understand.
right.
Suggestion would be, if someone like my own self was involved in this, I would set the containers in the yard, have the general public fill them without compaction. And then I would bring in one of our excavators that I can shake the dirt out and push the waste down and add the additional waste before going to transport. That would help, like I said, it's because you're already gonna pay the haul fee is gonna be the same whether.
You
it
know,
costs
sending
$1,000.
them unfull.
Right, correct.
But that would, there's more that somebody could put together the package as far as how to get rid of the TVs, the tires, the appliances, some of the other junk. Would be a suggestion. But I think that would, like I said, aside from the unknown of what's over there, bringing in a few containers, bringing in a container for metal that would help. It's not so much gonna offset the cost, but it's going to save on the space.
What if we haul everything we need to get out of there in the next 2 weeks, our next week meeting, set the date for it? That work? Then we'd have a know what we've spent to get.
Right, that's
Correct.
yeah, but I kind of like that, your suggestion too.
Oh, no, I
I'm
like,
making sure it's all compacted and
Well,
full, but
no, I like Mike's suggestion a lot. We need to, get rid of
I'm
what
kind
we
of
got.
feeling like we need to clean up what's there before we.
I do
take
too.
Anything else.
That's
off.
why I wanted Mike to, before we schedule.
But if we have a dumpster that isn't quite full,
The
with
other,
what was already there, don't haul it off till it's hauled away full, but.
so I
Sorry.
can keep giving suggestions, but I don't know I don't know how to be on the council and be the guy that's.
Right, correct.
Except at the podium, because I can give you one other really,
I'm just asking for just numbers, just so I can,
there'd be my other suggestion. So we're gonna be doing the demo over here for Fastlane. The way that they're gonna do that.
Everybody take the fast lane?
Oh,
that's what I was gonna say.
take the tab on that.
Don't they already do that?
So we're gonna have, Artery's gonna drop the building, and then we're gonna bring in our big green machine and big black trailer. That'll be part of the operation. Roughly at the same time, the most cost effective to do this project over here would be to do that the same way because of the volume that can go into that big trailer. The trailer is better than 4 dumpsters in volume. So in theory, if I was to take my green machine and my big black trailer over here and do the exact same thing, you would have,
Less transport fees or by
because the garbage, the actual per weight is the same whether you put in 10 boxes, a pickup truck, dump truck, or big trailer.
$5 a gallon of fuel and all that. That's, yeah.
So like I said, that's what this particular community, so it's the same that we've done on multiple demolitions, you bring in.
Maybe.
It's the most cost effective way. In
$25,000.
Town,
Up to $2,500.
but whatever, that would be,
Leaving 2,000
bad
gravel
is-
this year.
we
Okay.
got this much gone, this much
Next-
left.
Right. And
And
then use
and a
the.
typical
the
trailer
paving
load there, depending on
of
the weight.
1,500
usually
that, so you can start on paving
800
this year, and then
bucks
you'll still have more next
trailer
year to
load.
finish up. paving.
Right.
But we're
So we have
carrying
that. And then
10,
take
12,000.
1,000 in tools. That would give us
So what's nice about it is
$2,000,
when you get
$3,000,
commingled with
$5,000.
furniture. You've just got so much space and the machine goes up high enough that you can,
Smashing.
you
that.
smash it in there, but you can see what you're
We
smashing.
get,
But it's a one and done approach, and like I said, we're gonna do
And then-
what we'll do over here.
I understand now.
On there, but
Is that gonna be enough?
if we limit ourselves to containers, we're okay.
Well, how's this run over some numbers with the clerk, treasurer and mayor? There's some unspent monies. Mike's not here to save, not spending all of it. But in the current budget, we have some unspent monies for gravel paving and tools, which, and for streets. That can be used to pay for a portion of it, not all of it, could be used to pay for the cleanup. And then 4 dumpsters or so after that for town cleanup. So there's a way we can pay for it this year.
How high up is the big trailer?
That's about
Supposing that's
$5,000.
the route everything goes.
and to the top rail on it.
I missed part of that conversation.
Well, I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
it would have to be manned,
That's not
loaded
taking
by a
all of it,
loader.
that's just taking a portion.
Sure.
All that has to be done with an excavator. So
And we do
loader
got-
can,
we do got
loader
some
can
money
typically
spending.
clear.
Well, I meant
Our
an
budget already,
individual loading.
Right.
It couldn't be like
Oh,
people throwing stuff in.
It's under miscellaneous.
Oh, it's in the miscellaneous, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Typically,
Yeah.
so like
So
what they'll
there's-
do over here,
There's
Put it in
1,500
big
there,
pile.
it'll be a
Right.
big pile and we'll just
taking 1,000.
grapple right out of the pile. We can grapple out of dumpsters as well. I mean,
Okay.
it's totally feasible.
You know, what I was saying, rather than have somebody sit there for a day or two,
Taking some of that. now.
I-
running equipment periodically.
Yeah, we need to
for a couple of
clean it.
days.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
That's
the,
the way to pay for
if there was initial cleanup done on the pile that was over there, it'll free up a lot of space. It'll get rid of,
Right.
it'll help segregate some of the stuff. The TVs is its
Some of that-
own.
it. That's not taking all of it. You know, take half.
Right.
So we'll start on it,
What
and then the next budget's gonna kick in. for
Tires
that
not a
first,
big
and then they
deal.
have
They can go.
a flow together like that.
But I think if it comes to the budgeting side for ease of operations, when the dumpsters are nice for a community because they can. They put it in their pickup truck, they toss it in, and it is a metro.
I don't know if you guys caught all that, but the big trailer would be the most economic.
Yes.
You know,
We were just trying to
30-yard.
way to.
The trailer,
no,
Oh,
the
trailer.
big trailer. So
Oh,
what he was
sorry.
saying is, you get a big dumpster. When it's full, there's happens to be a company that happens to have a big ass trailer with a grapple hook that can.
Oh,
And
okay,
then you're only paying because of the fuel and transport, it would
Right.
give the absolute most.
so our largest trailer, so we range between 95 and 125 cubic yards on our trailers. The containers, so back to Thermop, so they're bringing in 20-yard containers, why? Because they're easier to load because they're 4.5 feet
instead
off
of
the ground.
30-yard.
That's what they
Okay.
want to do, but around here in the past, it's been 30 yards.
Right,
Well, hypothetically, to clean up what we have existing and then. 5,000
4 to 5,000 would do.
for the cleanup and for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Proposal that I. Got agreed upon was to use some of the unspent money on gravel paving and tools, not all of it. This year to facilitate that, which would pay for. $5,000 in this budget. And that will leave half of that, so $5,000 to start the projects of street paving. And then July 1st would come around and be a different budget year and roll into it anyway. So I doubt all this would be expended between now and July 1st anyway. But that would be able to use our existing framework for a different purpose than originally intended. If that's what we want to do, but that's how we could pay for it.
I thought Stephen checking our budget for next year.
Oh,
Yeah.
We don't have that. That might be something we may want to put a line item in.
that's
That's
what the mayor just
exactly what
asked
I
me,
was
because
saying.
we've been using miscellaneous, but
Right.
for that. It wasn't labeled town cleanup. It was
Right.
just.
I think we could put a, well, it's something we do every year, therefore we should have it as a line item.
Well, maybe we can add
So
a
it's-
$3,000
Sure,
yearly
because
town cleanup,
after this year, you'll be back to
3,000 or so.
a much more manageable number, because you're dealing with several years of buildup.
Oh, yeah.
Like where we got $6,000 or $7,000 worth 1 year.
Yeah,
So what do you think? Two to 2,500 a year would probably sufficient? Once we're cleaned up?
I think once you're, because you could, if you left it at. Yes, if you put in your 25 to, but it's rumored the county's gonna raise the landfill rates as well, that will. It's a
Surprise,
substantial,
surprise.
it's a substantial increase if it goes through, so like I say, it will have its effect on. Cleanup.
Personally, I think they should give us a discount since they closed all our facilities and made this one almost unusable, the transfer station. That's just my thoughts.
I had a real interesting conversation with some county commissioners and within the last 2 weeks about that.
But I don't want to get in a rabbit hole here, so is this tentative proposal, because this is for an unintended purpose use,
We're not increasing our budget, we're just moving some unspent
Right.
funds
but
from
since
one line item to another.
Mike isn't here to
Object.
object or say, I'm fine with it, so kind of need the council to agree to that. Take his money.
I have one couple suggestions.
Okay,
Before it goes forward, I think Mike's gonna be the one doing it. He needs to bring a set forth like number for you guys to vote on, so it's on the record. How much it's actually gonna be.
So I'm just trying to get hypothetical numbers on the top end.
You're right, just to get approval to move forward, I'm just letting you know, so. I mean, it's possible to let Mike do it, he just won't be able to vote on it.
Right.
So you don't have to put it out to bid, unless you guys like, this is super expensive, I don't think it's gonna hit that, you're gonna need that number just on the record.
Sure.
So.
what we're discussing now is just
a budget when we
Just
hit it, we
budget.
stop.
I just wanna let you know, so.
See, and I would be,
It's like, you're worried about towing the line, I'm
yeah,
right.
letting you know right now that you're good, as long as. You know, you get the number on the record, how much and. you know.
so my preference would be, however I need to abstain whether I got it or didn't
Yeah.
get it in company. But that'd be my preference to lay out here's, because I can do more inclusive things on it, we'll provide you with a scrap dumpster for this and we can clean it to where. Abstain, leave, whatever I gotta do, but at least everybody can look at it and say, this is our expectation, you know, why didn't the TVs disappear? Well, because we didn't.
Yeah.
Because they didn't go.
Would it be easier if we got the approval of the council to authorize the use of these funds from this separately and then talk about the actual cost of it on
Oh, yeah,
a separate
I
issue?
just want, cause I know everybody's trying to.
Yeah, that way
Yeah.
it's two separate.
As long as you're not giving away a month, it's pretty large, when I'm looking at the statute, it's a pretty large cap that you're. Going forward, I just want, you know, that's how you should probably, you should proceed, so. Make it so no one would hear about being in trouble or doing something I shouldn't do.
This is something I don't believe we need to vote on. Moving the budget like this necessarily, or do we? We are changing from one,
If Mike was here, he can do it. It's his budget,
right, correct.
but he's the department head. He's not here.
Yeah.
You guys have already approved the budget. So it's kind of a weird thing, the way our ordinance is that he has the authority to use that money for that purpose, but he's not here. So do you take it away? I don't know if that's a legal thing. I don't think he has a problem with it, but
Oh, you can move it around.
That's what I was saying, is that since he's not here to. Take my money.
You could say I want it back.
He could, but he can get it back.
Maybe the project comes under budget.
And it might. I'm just wanted to have some numbers so we can, I mean, we're already in May. I don't want to keep kicking the can down the
Yeah.
road and then
Right.
we get into August and, we're starting to get ready for fall, so.
Now, this money needs to be spent by June 30th.
And in the absence of Mike being here, I would just to make it formal that,
Well, here's something that randomly maybe help you on this line item of gravel. There's the dominant pit that's used in Riverton has no gravel. And they don't anticipate having gravel until maybe sometime in June.
well, that makes it,
There's no gravel available. It's this odd little thing that's happened.
easier, I guess. Well,
But I mean, something else might not come along, but for real, you could call it the pit that always brings the gravel here, and they're gonna say, I'm sorry, we have economy road base right now for sale, but.
I don't think you need to vote to have Mike move it around. I think you can just talk to him.
I think we could
Yeah.
too.
I do.
I was just saying since he's not here
Yeah,
as a courtesy, but
He might be thrilled, he's gonna get his yard cleaned out.
I'm sure there's gonna be no problem. That's why I wish he was here, but. It's not my money.
I move we apply $5,000 for town cleanup. And with a date to be set later on.
Out of,
Out of street and alley.
okay. Move it over into miscellaneous. Is that the line item we have now, or are we gonna
Well, to me, this.
create a
this-
new line item?
Mike can just spend, he can have it coded to these.
Okay,
We don't have to move it at all. I think that's what Marshall was saying. We don't have to actually physically move it. He can just spend it. If-
Yeah.
Street and alleys, the town yard is street and alleys. That's what it's used for.
okay. Good enough. We don't even need to make a motion.
Okay, well,
We're gonna leave it exactly where it is and spin it right out of there.
okay,
I'll talk to Mike tomorrow.
so be it.
We're not gonna exceed the bottom line number, so.
Right, yeah, that's the big thing. Not raising the budget.
We'll add town cleanup for the next agenda. We're picking the date and all that
Right.
stuff.
Yep,
I have the numbers, the
Yeah.
contractor or what the costs.
Right.
yep, we'll have everything.
Okay.
Move on to,
We didn't finish.
we didn't,
You need to withdraw your motion.
Yeah.
Officially.
Yeah. bottom
I'll
of it.
withdraw my motion.
okay. Move on to C. I have a proposal from CEPI. They're civil engineering professionals out of Casper, Wyoming. It has a surveying department. I have reached out to both Inberg Miller. I'd like that, and also Apex to perform this surveying. Then I also had CPI. Both of them are too busy to get at this. I will say Apex did give me a number, but it was pretty high, I think reflected on his not ability, not being able to get on this in the near future. I did have CEPI, had one of their head surveyors have a call up and talk with Brooks with Inberg Miller and discuss the proposal CPI is proposing. If it'd be compatible with what Inberg Miller is doing out there. And this could actually help what Inberg and Miller, they're gonna work together. This is gonna work out fine. I also asked Brooke about the price, the estimate. And he advised me that this is a very good price on this. Just wanted to confirm those things, price, and also the
Timing.
compatibility of the companies and timing where they can get at this, when we need it.
Right.
And so, after all those been, kicked around, I would, and what this will do, we'll be surveying that 73 acres, platting it, which will enable us to line up streets and everything, so we make sure we're, some of that new sewer line where we propose to lay in there. So these sewer lines will be in the streets, and, we're lining them up in the right places. And this would also, once we plat this, would enable to sell some of this land. Have a realtor sell some of this land, because we can have some legal descriptions and we know what we're selling. And we can start working on putting this together and hopefully generate a little revenue. Also. But without platting this, we wouldn't do this, and we were really looking probably at doing it probably next year. But with the sewer line and water there, we're gonna be able to open up some of these lots for sale. So, I would, and the fee for this is $13,000. For platting the whole 73 acres. And they'll work with a self-developed lot and subdivision layout that everyone will be pleased with. I should have made a copy of this for everybody. I didn't. I was making copies of other things and working on it.
What would pay for that would be that resolution.
approved.
Yes.
So then we have $1,700 left over for cleanup day.
We do. Yeah, no, that's,
But like I said, I did check, I did get a price from Apex. It was considerably higher. And I did also check with Imbert Miller Brock to make sure that it's in line, and the services they're gonna provide is gonna be compatible with what we're doing out there. But they're a reputable firm. Been in business a long time. I was working in the engineering field. I knew about them 30 years ago. Competitor, but. And they got some, with Brock, they have some very highly sophisticated equipment that Imbert Miller wasn't aware of that they had.
and you said that they'd have it done like July, August timeframe, so they could, when they're to that point of the project.
Sure, I think we, possibly earlier, but yeah, by
I
the,
mean, by,
by in that time frame. I had Brock and them talk to it about that there, but CEPI is willing to get on this ASAP. But I tried the local guys here also.
I remember the whole triangle deal, waiting on the surveyor.
Yeah, we've had issues in getting,
There's busy.
fighting realtors and appraisers, mainly appraisers and surveyors. Been an issue.
I'd make a motion, I'll hire CEPI along with their proposal to get that thing platted.
Been moved by Councilman Stetler that we have approved this proposal for $13,000 for CPI to do our survey as outlined. Can I have a second? Second by Councilman Zant. Any further discussion?
What size of roads are they putting in? What's the width? 40 feet? 60
I
feet?
think they're 60.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure, I was gonna say 62.
I'm pretty sure they're 60,
Okay,
but
so that was one question I had.
yeah, I think that's
Because sometimes the roads are in town, they vary.
Yeah.
And I'd like to
I think
I'd be
6
more- say from now on, all roads should be 60 feet.
agreed.
They need to be.
Yeah,
Agreed.
so that's the only question I have.
Yeah, 60 foot. And that's the same road, that's the width on our subdivision, 40 acre,
Right.
60 foot, and these will be. And we'll line these up pretty much on some of the stuff up on the hill maybe there, but we're gonna try to line up streets
Okay, that's my only question I had.
Okay. Any other questions? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Both the same, motion passed, all in the affirmative. Police report.
Well, I emailed myself the 2023 April schedule instead of the 2023 April police report that I spent an hour putting together, so I'm gonna go off memory here. If you remember, every month this year, I started doing the comparables from last year, 2021 and 2020, just kind of show how things have changed as far as calls for service and whatnot. And every month this year, we compared to last year in 2021, we were down in calls. And then overall, with monthly, we were starting to gain. Well, in April, we surpassed every year going back the 3 years. 2020, we were 66% higher in call volume. For the year, we were 90% for the month. Last year, or 2 years ago, 2021, at this point in the time, we are, I believe it was 12% for the year to date in calls. For the month, it was 66%. And then for last year, we are 1%. So we are now dead even with last year's call for service at this point in the year. But the month was 12% higher for the 1 month. So we're continuing to trend upwards. So we've gone from being behind overall, that we are now caught up and surpassed every year at this point in time, going back. In April, we had 6 calls for suspicious circumstances. So that's getting called out for, somebody out at night at somebody's house, just weird things going on in town. We had 5 DUIs in April. All of last year, we had 5 DUIs. We've had 5 in April. We had a child abuse case that resulted in 4 subjects being taken into protective custody. We're not just getting VIN checks, and we're not just getting just minor things. We're actually getting major things happening on the uptick. And that's not just here at Shoshoni, it's countywide, it's statewide. There's just a lot of, I don't know if it's pent up isolationism at home or what's going on, but it's manifesting in a lot of different ways. We had 3 calls for domestics. We had 2 fights. We had 1 canine deployment, and that's pretty much all I can remember of the highlights of the police report. But in a nutshell, every day we were getting called out to something that was not just a routine run-of-the-mill VIN check. It was somebody needed help for something, or somebody was doing something severely wrong and needed to be dealt with. That's just how it's been this whole year, this month. And I know my guys have been like we're used to just doing traffic stops. What's going on here?
Kind of exciting, I guess.
Yeah, they're like, I'm doing real cop work now. But it shows, why we are here to do more than just traffic. And we're still dealing with some dog issues, but I think we're trending in the right direction in that department, but it's still an ongoing issue. We are getting ready to start sending out notices for weed cleanup, because we have a lot of moisture, had a lot of growth, and we have a lot of weeds that are well outside of code. So that will be the focus of May, outside of other activities. Primarily looking at trying to get on ahead of the curve on before it gets out of control and out of hand. So of course, we'll start with door hangers on those in violation, giving them a friendly reminder to please mow your weeds. Or Wyoming flowers, I guess, whatever you want to call them. And we'll then proceed beyond that. We'll be passing out nuisance letters. What that does is at the direction of the mayor, acting as his agent for those things that are in violation of nuisances, giving some authority to the town to clean up yards at the cost of the landowner if they choose not to clean them up. And we will be handing those, mailing those certified to the landowners, and if they don't comply, then the town will take appropriate action to rectify the situation as deemed fit. Some of the things we talked about is that trailer that was moved illegally, as well as a lot of the junk cars in the lot. the trash bags that we have received no response on, so we will now be moving to the next step and taking matters into our own hands, so to speak, to clean it up. Those are just a couple examples. So that'll be our focus this next month. So if you have any concerns on properties or things that you think that need to be addressed, I'm not talking about derelict buildings right at this point. I'm just talking about non-compliance with code. As far as yards and things kept in their yard outside the house, please let me know. I'll let you know the status on those two. From my memory, that was pretty much all that I could think of. I apologize for sending over a schedule.
Schedule look good though?
It looked fantastic for April. I mean, we're in May now, but it was pretty good for April.
No, appreciate it. Chris, there again, get a lot of good comments across many people about our PD. Du Bois thanks you a lot for helping them and get, they thank Shoshoni for helping us start them up.
We have a firearms instructor that's also gonna be giving their officers certified, to get them certified for their firearms too, so. We're still continuing to help where we can.
And they're real happy with that Explorer and they were pretty happy to buy that, so just borrow it. Cause their Du Bois is gonna be hired on another officer.
They already did.
Already got
They
him
just
hired,
did, yeah.
okay?
He's a training. They're ramping up for summer. And I'm sure they'll be people are really happy when they see our new Charger here soon. Sure, Highway Patrol will get a lot of complaints.
Put a 2.4 Whipple on it. Turn into a pursuit vehicle.
I think I can get the Highway Patrol stickers on there and just put Shoshoni on it. No one's gonna notice.
Ghost yours.
Yeah.
Saw one, Highway Patrol went olive drab, I guess. Very sneaky.
It's the first, they've swapped out an olive drab.
No, that was not intentional. That was literally the only thing they could get.
buy.
Oh, it's kind of.
So they call it the Rainbow Fleet.
No, they came out with a gray.
Yeah, there's some gray, there's some that are like that drab, army drab, green or whatever.
Olive green.
And then there's like, yeah, there's like multitude of colors now of Highway Patrol. So if you're looking for the black car, oh, that's a Dodge car. That's a black Dodge. That's definitely a trooper. It might not be. It might be blue. It might be yellow, it might be green. But it wasn't actually intentional. It was literally all they could get. Which, if you remember the state law that passed, and this is way off subject, and I know it's late, but that gives you authority to, you put out a bid, you don't get it in a reasonable time, or you don't get it back, you can just go to the lot and pick whatever you want without having to bid for it. That's why.
Yeah.
It was out of necessity, much more than it was out of rationale or reason for it. So that's just the times we live in. I got a Camaro for sale if anyone wants to buy one. I think the town, I would like to use that as a patrol car, but
$6,000.
nope.
7.
Nope.
That's the going rate.
Budgeted for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so. We'll continue to help Du Bois and. Hopefully, things will get better in the next couple of years as far as normalcy, but I doubt it.
Tammy, you have anything you'd like to add?
No.
Jake,
I guess just a shameless plug, I guess. The Shoshoni Masonic Club every year does a Student Citizen of the Year award, where we recognize 4 Shoshoni seniors for citizenship. It's actually a really cool program. But anyways, we're have some raffle tickets to help support that. So if you want to help support that, contact your favorite local Mason and get some raffle tickets to help support Shoshoni's youth. That's at the same time, they're gonna recognize, I guess we've got one kid going into the Shrine Bowl that's selected, so that was good. to be recognized as well, but that was about it, I think.
Our banquet and we invited the shrine recipient, the kids are gonna be in the Shrine Bowl also to come to our Citizen of the Year award.
Yeah, yeah, and so if you're looking at getting some support in that, or all raffle tickets for shotgun,
Yeah.
way to do that.
Past Councilman Weaver, do you have anything to add?
No, I just want to see what we have tonight.
Well, I appreciate you showing up. And appreciate town support from any citizen that shows up. You bet. Well, there again, thank you for coming by. You too. Councilman Demick.
I guess same little plug along those lines. So the fire department is going to award 2 scholarships to the graduating seniors from Shoshoni. They call it the Firewives Scholarship that we set up last year. This is the second year that we've done that program. Anybody that's able to apply, they have one scholarship that goes to later a trade industry, and the other one goes to some form of, it's loose, but it's something along the lines of helping. So what maybe that's going into nutrition or going into orthopedics or something along those lines, but they're not very big scholarships, but the funding comes from the activities that the Firewives do throughout the community, bake sales or donations or whatever. And then that goes back to 200 students to be applied to whatever school they choose or books or whatever they're called. But then at the awards banquet at the schools, when the fire department will present 2 of those this year. But other than that, just the FYI, no big deal.
You wanna do a
Good.
boot, if you wanna do a boot drive we'll stop every car, make sure, they donate before they leave Shoshone.
With your boo.
Ask for the donation before you hand out the citation.
Note to self.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Bob.
I have nothing.
No.
I got something. Well,
Hopefully, go ahead.
2 things, actually. One, I want to apologize and stand corrected on the liquor license. There is a cap of 15,000 or 1,500.
Okay,
So I just want to make sure that I correct myself. The other is the tax thing. The assessor sent a
Yeah.
letter saying that, I think everybody heard that basically she's giving up the fight, so I understand it.
Good fight.
Good job.
that was great news.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
Appreciate it.
Well, since everyone's talking about scholarship and stuff, I figure out. So our Shoshone Hot Summer Nights that I do with Jordan, since we started the basketball tournament, we take a portion of the registration fees, and we started a scholarship fund last year for $500. We gave it to Emma Crichton. This year we gave it to Dom Jarvis. But our criteria was in giving back, we give back to those in the community, and we're looking to find those who give back to the community and exemplify our shared values of volunteerism, work ethic, and a commitment to helping to improve the community in which they live and play. And as a result, we created this scholarship fund. And the selection of Dom Jarvis was to be used for anyone who is planning to attend college, a trade school, or having an immediate impact in the workforce and his plans and what he's doing in the workforce. So we're trying to reward those that exemplify those values, not just going to school or going to a trade school, but are actively trying to join the workforce. So we're doing a little bit different this year, and that's why our criteria is slightly different than some of the other that we're looking for, not just someone going to college.
Not just, sorry, but not just someone that said, oh, I'm the straight A student.
And that we don't even look at
And I
that.
already got 3 scholarships, free ride, and athletes had already got a free ride.
And that's exactly, we're trying to look for, not those that go on. I volunteered with the school to go pick up trash, great. But outside of school, what did you volunteer for? And what did you do to help in Shoshone? And Dom, I know he lives in the valley, but he actually did come to Shoshone and help out. Not just on the 3-and-3, but some of the cleanups and some of the other things that set up and everything else that we've done here locally. And so that was why we awarded him that scholarship.
Jake, did you explain how our
No,
students, why don't you explain that?
it's a cash award. And it's a citizenship award. You gotta be a Shoshone senior with a 2.0 GPA or better. And you get every school staff person gets a vote. We don't decide who they are, and it's just citizenship, and we just give them the check in good faith that they will use it to better their lives. That's a. I feel like it should be, people should be recognized, kind of like you're saying, you should be recognized for being a good person.
Not just because you're gonna go to school and you got
And-
straight A's and
And we have every school employee gets a vote, teachers, janitors, cooks, bus drivers.
If they choose to,
janitors.
everyone's got a vote.
Everybody gets a vote. And most times, at least every senior gets at least one vote.
Yeah, we, for the last several years at least, that's kind of cool. That at least one person believed in that kid. Every single kid got at least one vote that somebody believed in that kid. So it's good that we have that relationship between the staff and students, that at least somebody believes in every kid.
Kind of the fire department, just kind of going along those lines. So when we did it, this scholarship last year, it was new, and we had 2 applicants and 2 scholarships, so it was congratulations.
yeah. You applied.
You got that. And this year, I think we had 7 or 8 that had applied. They're not stellar numbers, but it was nice to be able to make some decisions based on
Mhm. Yeah.
merit, based on some other considerations instead of, well, dang,
Here you go.
here you go, thanks for writing your 2 sentences on your napkin and here's your prize. I think this little section of conversation, I wish the whole world could. I don't really think most people in Shoshone realize that
No,
the
I-
little organizations that are here that we don't have lots of. I mean, we same thing, we give $500 to scholarships. You don't have a lot of Mason. I mean, nobody has. a
No,
lot.
that's why when Councilman Stellar started, then you started, I was like, well, okay, and there's a lot.
I didn't
there's a
realize
lot.
that the 3-on-3
Yeah,
was
it's
helping.
around to whether either.
Yeah.
What I find is interesting, particularly on yours, because it's interesting because when people say, what do they do with all the money that they make? It's irrelevant, but something like that, say we're using it for, everything's pushing the town forward, but it's not.
Right, that's what I was trying to get at, is that it's not Mike,
working with what
not
we
Mike
have.
Demick, the hopper guy or whatever, it's, fireman, the fire agent, not Jake Stetler, the diesel mechanic, it's, or councilman, it's
And
it's all the
hopefully-
organizations that are here
Masons.
are trying to do things, whether it's Masons or
Right.
the fire department.
I think part of our goal, I mean, like I said, I think having that message out there, every group could, the fire department, we struggle with. I would recommend if your house catches on fire, please plan it to be on the weekend.
Good to know, I'll make sure I line it up.
Middle of the day
Fire
is subject to Officer Andrew is on, is the best chance you got with someone who's gonna be here.
It's gonna burn down.
But like I said, we don't do these things as recruitment tools, but how nice is it when the community is able to come back and say, I'd like to be in this group, or like I said, we're
Sure.
working with what we've got.
Well, that's what I like, is that none of us have a lot, none of that, these 8 organizations have a lot to give, but we give back to what we do here back in town. And hope that giving sparks something in some people that manifests in something good in the future,
Because it
because
comes in its own, I mean, it's, things like what the mushroom farm has done, they have their own little. They're not making grundles of money selling mushrooms on the corner or anything, but they're here, they're doing what they can, and. I think it just helps with the overall morale of a community that is trying versus dying. So
that's why I think it's important.
it's the little, like I said, it's. we had this conversation earlier in Cass, we were talking about Shoshone and these things that have been happening, and we got $3 million or whatever the number was, and the conversation was just kind of like, oh, that's like our engineer bill annually. You know, so. So I said,
But if you look at it per capita,
that's right.
Yeah.
look at it per capita.
I said $1 million project and already been a little spec, that's a big deal. I recognize you guys, whatever your bridge just cost, that
Right, yeah.
it took you, you know.
10
for
years to build.
us,
That bridge ain't that smooth. Or brand new concrete.
No, I think I got an error when I hit that thing.
Yeah, it was, well,
It's not-
I wasn't even speeding.
southbound
Oh.
on 25,
The
you're
new
on the
bridge, the
bridge,
overpass,
northbound,
the
you didn't
overpass
run it, but
Oh.
I try not to stay off like
So
25.
when you go to get the interchange, there's a little lip,
Oh.
and if you're doing the speed limit,
Watch your
you'll,
tires and your.
if you're light enough, you'll catch it with a
It's like,
Holy cow. That was a lot of.
kids just start humming.
I was not too impressed.
Anyway, I'll try to keep mine relatively short.
Well, as a committee, we beat you, Joel.
Yeah. We did, yeah, the meeting in Pinedale went really good, some pretty good education on how to help board members to help them help the municipality. That's what we're here for. They had a really good cowboy poet. I'm gonna try to get him to Shoshone. I forget his first name, last name's Nelson.
His son lives in town.
Yeah, he does. He's a teacher.
oh, is it Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan's dad.
Huh.
Dylan's dad, and he is funny, he is great. Really liked him a lot. I went to try to get him, and he said he might give us a break because he'd come visit his son and stay with him or something, you know.
Well, you know, that, not to plug for a different, but CWC, they're gonna do that little, was it Hot Notes, Cool Nights or
Yeah.
in the park? And they're looking for artists and I don't know, maybe that might be a
Could be,
possible venue
right?
date, maybe.
I'm just trying to figure out something to get him here. I think it's, God, it's just hilarious. He's got some really good ones. So that was pretty good. We anticipate, they said we've got a very strong application here from state parks if we got the trailhead project. I've been discussing with Fremont County Rec, and they're planning, they got a project going out on the trail, and they're looking at possibly doing some more. And talking with the trails people in Riverton, trying to build more countywide trail systems, and there's state funding to help do that. So they're looking at expanding on that and try to develop this trail we have between Shoshone and Riverton, try to develop some more and could connect more trails in Riverton together. I just wanted to touch there. We knew we was gonna have some change orders. We're getting some. So I just wanted to pass these out to the council and see where we're at. We're not going over budget yet or anything, but I just wanted to bring up the change orders. Kind of let you know and just kind of describe some of the what is went on. Embert Miller first on the West Side project. Their initial estimate, they were planning on about 5,300 foot of trench, and then now it's 9,650 foot of trench. So they've got some more engineering involved in it. More, especially, main thing is oversight on construction. We want to make sure we got oversight on construction so we don't have what's happened to us. You know, potentially part of our water line systems could be that, because I know some of the lines looked like they weren't bedded properly. Some of our issues, and then our sewer lagoon. There's no engineering money left over for oversight, so it didn't get done. And then we got the problems with their sewer lagoon because of that, because they compacted a leach field, basically, like you would a road. and it needed to be, you don't want to compact it. It's the last thing you want to do to it. It's part of the problems. They encountered some clay and then it compacted it. But that's some issues. That's the mainly, and then also if we expand some of our surveying line with the funding we have left over with the on the construction. It's gonna need a little more engineering to put those sewer lines in where they're doing. That also ties in with the surveying. So. This will be, Inberg Millers will be covered under the grant money. So this won't have any effect on our budget. We've ran into some problems where we already approved one change over at Casper's, and we got a couple others. We had more demo on the block on the bathrooms. Just best thing was gonna be need to remove them. Cause they just the bathrooms would not fit in the existing spaces. And so we've encountered two changeovers there that we needed to move forward on. I just wanted to bring that to the council and keep everybody in the loop what's going on.
But when we
Any
did the
comments
budget,
about it? Yeah.
when we did the budget this year. With our surplus and whatnot that we do have this year, it'll pay for a lot of this, but our budget next year, it gives us a flexibility. We're not making any budget adjustments at this time for those change orders. If we get too many change orders, that's a different story. But as of right now, we're okay.
My question on the change order, R number 2, R1. Very last one, equipment, a double saw, cut saw. Why do we have to pay for that? That's their equipment. I mean, I don't think we should pay for that. They should supply their own equipment, period.
That's what I thought.
I thought that was probably a saw blade that was.
Well,
I had
that's
a
still
contract,
their
yeah.
materials they should provide for themselves in my mind.
Okay,
Um,
I'll ask that question. We just got this today.
okay. Well, you know.
Okay,
I understand the stuff on the roof with no problems and getting that taken care of. What was the other one I did that?
03 or still on 02?
I'm still in O2. The doors, why are we changing doors? I mean.
They had doors open in the wrong direction in the design. I think that's what we're talking about.
I'm up on subs. On R1. Stories of Wyoming,
Here, Joe.
same pages, double,
Door changes.
yeah,
Is that also some of the security doors they were talking about changing, Chris, remember?
So I'll have to verify that. The architect did not have the secure doors on the outside originally, and so we did do a
Right.
door change. That they didn't have the proper doors, they were just going with the general doors on their designs, and so the last meeting we had, we went over all the I went over all the doors. And the ones that were supposed to be, they did not have them as being the security doors on the exterior. And then they had 2 doors on the interior that were not, they were just office doors like that, so basically. As you come into the foyer, you could just kick the door down and walk in and do whatever you want. They weren't secure doors, so there was 5 total doors. 3 of which they had to change, and I believe that's what that
that was what I was
You know,
thinking.
to me, that's an architect's problem, but.
It was, no,
that-
absolutely.
They
They
should
missed
have to
that.
pay for it. I mean, taking out an architectural fee. If they're supposed to design these things correctly. That should come out of an architect. I mean, because they should know they were supposed to have security doors, definitely. I understand having doors, having to remove a wall, put in new doors, but that part of the security doors. That should have been caught right away from by the architect. That's his fault. And take out his fee, not,
The architect may say that we reviewed it and okayed it. I know probably. We signed off on it and missed, I'm just saying, I'm sure that's where they're. You know, I will talk to them about it, but I'm thinking that may be their position.
I know we talked about security doors with just $100,000 grant that we
Right.
got for this building.
Yeah.
Right? So they should have been known that at that time.
And I don't,
I agree.
and I was baffled when we had the meeting with the higher, I don't know if it's when they changed personnel, somewhere the ball got dropped and they didn't put those doors that we discussed on the onset that would need to be. We had our first meeting, that was discussed. These are the doors, this door, all of them were discussed. And then when I got the email and I saw that it was just a standard key door, that was not what was discussed. Is how that got changed. So I believe that I will say though that part of this might be not an architectural thing. During our pre-bid walkthrough, not pre-bid, our pre-construction walkthrough, it was noted that 3 of the exterior doors, the frames for secured doors required, because it's brick building, and I'm not a construction guy, but the Caspar brought up that to put in the electrical, to drop it into there required additional work. And that would have been after the bid had been put in. I don't know if that's what that is or not.
Okay.
And
So,
like I said, we just
I
got
just
this.
have questions.
You bet, good
no,
question.
I don't have any clarification. I agree with you. If it's the door is costing more, or is it because of the extra construction that
Right,
the architect didn't know until they got the pre-construction meeting, which was post-bid. So then, I don't know if that's anyone's fault necessarily, but
like the bearing wall.
yes, like the bearing wall. But I agree, we need some clarification on that.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Mike?
I wouldn't mind making $700 a day. For GM
Right.
on top of my wage. I don't know how that comes to be on, if it's
Well, that. Yeah. That covers lodging, fuel. Everything else per diem, everything they put into.
on
To
top of
their,
their
to,
$75 an hour.
and to their employees, yes.
So they make $750 a day on their wages and then $700 on their hotel room. That's $150 and their $100 fuel and their, or for food and $50 for. Like, it's just,
And how many of these?
That's in
people-
contract,
that is,
yeah. And then 75 an hour is actually relatively.
for sure,
That's in
I'm
line.
in agreement with, yeah,
Yeah.
that's not the, I just looked at, they're bringing these extra people, like it's $700 a day for a. Like I said, if you're commuting to Casper to the Coda.
Well, if they bring, I don't know, they're bringing guys up from Casper. And hours and mileage back and forth, they bring them up here for 3-4 days or whatever, or motels, everything else in there. I don't know, but I already asked the engineer that same question,
It's $700 a day per diem. I'm wondering if they're hiring.
yeah. Well, if,
They're paying you
but
$1,500 a day.
Let alone your wages, yeah.
but that's not a lot.
$700 a day per diem.
No, $100 a day.
That's $700.
Yeah, I know,
a day
but how
per-
many people's that include, and that's mileage up and back?
It's per
Three.
person.
per person per day.
No, that's for 3 days.
Yeah. Two
That's for how many
carpenters,
days?
3 days each.
Yes, it's 3 days of per diem, it's
Yeah.
700 for 3 people.
Yeah.
So. Per day would be. $700 per day there.
I asked that
Per-
question to the
Not per
engineer also.
person necessarily per day.
That's, I just got this.
So per person might be.
Yeah.
So that was one question I did ask.
Also, yeah, it's only like $230 a day per diem. I'm still wondering if they're hiring.
Those are the only questions I had on it when I skimmed it.
I'm gonna take their waste and throw it in the pile, so we do a change order for county.
Sure. But I'll get more clarification. I did bring that to the engineer. Like I said, I just got this afternoon, so. But I wanted to bring this. And once I get these answers, I'll let everybody know. That's, anything else?
Maybe we go home.
Have a motion to adjourn. Can I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Moved by Councilman Zent, second by Councilman Hartke to adjourn. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye, pose the same. 9:07? 9:05. 9:05. Huh?
I'm tired.
Yeah, my phone.
I know.
2 minutes fast.
On Friday.
2 minutes fast.